What is up, everybody? This is iBright Cards, and welcome back to episode 11. Already on episode 11, that's crazy. We've been doing this 11 weeks of course, Cardboard Connects. And in this week, we're going to kind of continue the retail trend here. In week 9, or episode 9, we talked about retail limits, good or bad. We kind of weighed the options of that, the pros and cons. Week 10, we talked about pack searchers, which mainly does occur in retail centers and not so much in your local LCS because you will get kicked out for that. But in this week, we are talking about retail stores and what they do wrong with sports cards. And guys, let's be honest, there are so many things that retail stores do wrong. And we're going to start right away with that they don't kick out pack searchers. We talked about this last week in the sense that somebody who is a pack searcher, generally they're making a purchase and they're spending money at this store. If they're going to be making the store, whether it's Walmart, Target, wherever, as long as it's not an LCS, if they're going to be making them money, they don't care that they're bending packs and ripping corners and things like that. In fact, I doubt that they really care that much at all about that space because people will come in and resupply that. I believe the only time they'll really ever check it is if they hear something is wrong over there, they see cards thrown about, or they just simply need to reorganize it or move it to the back of their store, much like Target did here in Missouri. Now, that was just at my Target, of course, but that is something I don't like. They don't ask pack searchers to leave. Why? Because they're going to make a purchase and therefore make that chain, make that company money. That's just the case. That's the way it is. And I believe that's the only really one of those I have written down that's about the profit gained for the corporation kind of thing. The first thing I actually listed was that they allow returns. Now, I find it funny that they allow returns on these types of items without really checking them over very well. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter say, hey, I bought this box, I open it up, there's 1, nothing inside, 2, a ton of just junk cards and junk wax, or 3, it's like a rock that's super glued to the bottom of the box to give it weight. And that is unfortunate that that does happen, and people do get ripped off. Can you come back to the store and say, I bought this, and one of those 3 things are inside, and are they going to give you a refund? They may think you're making it up at this point, but it does happen, and it makes people very weary to buy retail. You guys know from many videos that I've done that I'm not a huge retail person, whether it be that things go really quick, whether it be pack searchers in a bigger city like my own, or just the fact that I don't like retail because of the odds. That's really the main one. The issue is that if stores allow returns, you can see that these things are happening constantly. And it's an unfortunate case, and I haven't seen it for a while, but I know it has happened to people who I follow on Twitter, and it's just unfortunate, of course, that that does happen because you put a product back into the store, people walk away with essentially $20 or more in free cards, and somebody gets left with a goose egg, and that's just not what the hobby is about, as many of us know. Now, the next thing that I do have written down here is kind of something that we talked about in last week's video, more or less in the pack searching venue, and that is that people open packs to look at the corners of the cards to see what's in the packs. Now, I believe there's a few ways that this can be limited. One thing that they could do is honestly, yes, put these cards by a counter where people check out. Don't put them by self-checkout. Don't put them in a corner or in the back of the store where nobody can watch these people who generally do these things. I understand there's money to be made by pack searchers for selling these packs on eBay, or, buying a $2 pack and getting a $5 plus relic and getting a profit, or people don't want to waste money and they see that a waste is buying a pack but not getting any hits. I completely understand all that, but as many of us know in the card community, it's just not right. It's not fair, and retail is mainly the place where kids go to start their hobby. I know that's where I went. I know that's where I kind of first started to really get into it when I pulled my first jersey card at my local Walmart. Looking back on that now, I'm still surprised that I actually was able to do that. I must have just honestly gotten lucky, or the person may have came that day. Who knows? But I think if there's somebody always in that area, whether it's back by the photography area where people can kind of look and watch people and make sure nothing's going wrong, or if it's back actually by the counter of the people who deal with the video games and the DVDs and the movies and things like that, or if it's by a checkout area where there's always somebody watching. Now, not in that aisle. This is something else, where people check out and they bring in all their groceries and everything to put on that long conveyor belt. The issue I have with that is you cannot reach those sports cards. I always feel like I'm getting in people's ways. I have to wait 10 minutes just to look and see if there's a product there I want. And there's all those kinds of problems as well. And that's just not something I'm exactly a fan of. It doesn't make it easy to reach these cards. And several times I've came and I've looked and there's been a line, so I'll come back after looking at some other stuff, and there's still a line, and that results in me not spending more money at this chain, which is, what they want, of course. But one of my main things I really like that they should do, I think, is they need to point cameras at this section to see who is doing the pack searching. Or I understand that's not against a lot of rules. It's not against the law. I get that. But they need to be looking at who is damaging these products, who is buying these products and coming back and returning them, who is opening the corners of the packs. Because once you open a product that you're not purchasing, I feel like that's kind of theft. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like that would be theft because you're not necessarily using the product inside the package, but you're opening it. And I understand that, like, if you buy a pair of shoes, you have to try those shoes on. You're going to open the box. I get it. But sports cards are completely different. And so in that regard, I'm just curious what you guys think on that level. I also don't like how retail chains won't keep the area clean and organized. I go to Walmart and stuff is all over the place. I'll go to Target, same thing. Stuff is all over the place. As of recently, rather empty, rather bleak selection, so I haven't gone in a while. Nor is it near my house, but oftentimes when I go to these places, it's just a mess. Nothing is organized, and it is hard to find exactly what I'm looking for. And as we talked about in a prior episode, episode 9 actually, limits. Are there limits? Are there no limits? They could say, this product is selling out really fast, really quick. We're getting a lot of people coming in here and buying it all at once. That's something that they should believe, hey, this isn't fair to everybody. Maybe we should put on a limit. And I'm not completely for or against limits, but something that I would like to possibly see in the future is maybe a limit of 3 of the same item. I often don't buy 3 blasters. 3 packs would be a different thing, but 3 of the same blaster, maybe 3 of the same mega boxes or whatever. I often don't see people buy 3 of the same thing unless that product is going for crazy amounts online. That's not something, again, I am against, because I think it would help more people get it, and people who are spending that money to get those products can still make a profit if they choose to resell. Just a thought, just an idea, not going to be popular with everybody, and I respect everybody's opinions, and I completely understand that. The final and last thing I'll say actually was brought up in last week's episode as well, and that is that they hide popular products at customer service. I've seen signs, I believe it was at a Target, I could be completely mistaken, it was either Target or Walmart, where Optic Basketball was completely removed from the shelves and put behind customer service, where you had to go over there and say, hey, I'd like 1 box of Optic Basketball, because that was all they give you, and then they would literally hand it to you and I believe check you out right then and there. Now, maybe if you went back a day later, you could try it again, or 4 or 5 hours later, went after work or school or whatever, you could come up to a different person and buy an extra box. But regardless, they're putting all these packages and all these boxes behind the counter. That does do a limit, which is good in my opinion, but at the same time, that is a very, very low limit that gives almost nobody a chance to really test a product to see if they like it. Yes, we're chasing Ja. Yes, we're chasing Zion. We're chasing these great players. But one box, the odds are small. You got to get lucky to hit something good, something you like, something that's going to pay for the box. That's why I say 3 items would be great. Now, if you're taking optic mega boxes, blaster boxes, and packs, maybe something around the lines of like you can buy $100 max of these packs, or a certain odd amount of blasters at once, or packs at once, or megas at once. One mega allowed, 2 or 3 blasters only, and 4 or 5 or maybe 6 of the CeeLo packs. Just something like that to spur the idea of any retail company that will probably never listen to this little podcast type show. But that is the truth. That is how I think. Those are all the things that I've really written down for what retail stores do wrong with sports cards. And I do want to point out real quick before we sign off here for week 11, and that is the fact that I have really spoken recently a lot about negatives of the hobby, and that is something that I would like to fix. I'd like to bring in some lighter subjects, this is what people do positive in the hobby. This is what, not specific people, but this is what people do positive in the hobby with racks. This is what retail stores actually do well. This is what companies, Panini, Topps do well. Upper Deck even does some stuff well, and things like that. Because the last few weeks with pack searchers, retail limits, and things like that, the world's rarest baseball card, the downfall of Fleer, those can be some negative subjects. And I don't want you guys coming to this little video, and thinking all I'm going to do is say people are wrong or this is wrong, when in reality, we need to bring in the lighter side of things. So look out for some positive episodes coming out in the future. And if you guys have any ideas, as always, they are more than welcome in the comment section, as well as your opinions, which we all will respect. Thank you guys so much for watching, liking, and subscribing. I appreciate you all. Have a great rest of your week. Happy hump day, and I will talk to you all later.